like to invite you to reflect on the different definitions of social policy, which you have in your weekly readings, but also which I've repeated here and which you have again in the online learning packages. So try to consider, what do you notice about these definitions, and not only the definition of social policy, but even public policy and even the concept policy itself. Is there any key points you've identified? And of course, any surprise, any missing details, and how would you define those concepts if you were to define them in your own words? So for that, you also have the Padlets online. In your online material, feel free to drop your answers to any of these questions in the first Padlet. And you know already how to do that just by clicking on the plus button of the Padlet. So to be able to define social policy, we probably need to start with defining public policy. And on this concept, there is a consensus that there is no singular, universally accepted definition of public policy. But definitely these are characterized by attributes, specific attributes such as it is made in response to some sort of problems that require attention. It is made on the behalf of the public, although, of course, we shall try to be critical about that and consider whether public policy always serves public interest or sometimes serves other people's, specific people's interest. And it is oriented towards a goal or desired state. And it is ultimately made by governments, although the idea itself or its implementation may involve non-government actors. And it is the government's, what the government chooses to do or not to do in addressing social issues. So social policy as an area of public policy involves a process of authoritative allocation of material and human resources according to certain theories and their underpinning values for the purpose of achieving these social, economic, cultural, and political outcomes in the society. It is both a goal and an instrument whereby particular societies determine how social needs are to be met and social rights recognized. These definitions, you really find them in the main textbook and first reading for this week one, but also in many other textbooks you are considering. I thought to suggest a few other definitions of social policy, drawing on insights from different scholars. One of them is James Midley, such an important figure in the study of international social welfare and international social development, who defines social policy as involving two aspects. First, it refers to the actual policies and programs of governments that affect people's welfare, and it is also representing an academic field of study concerned with the description, explanation, and evaluation of these policies. So Richard Titmuss, who's another important figure and whom many people regard as the father of the discipline called social policy, defines this concept as consisting of the principles, activities, and measures adopted by governments and organizations that influence and regulate social conditions to promote the welfare of individuals and communities. And Titmuss adds on that what is welfare to some people or a group of people may be ill-fare to another group of people. Such an extreme point of view, and we might want to explore that more in more details as we progress with the course. Eugene Baldach, who's another important international scholar, defines social policy as a systematic process of problem solving that involves defining the problems, proposing solutions, evaluating alternatives, and considering the consequences of public decisions. So again, you have all these definitions in your online learning workbooks. I'll really appreciate it if you can drop in your own definitions or what you think about these different ways of defining social policy. But briefly, if we are to consider a narrow definition of social policy, we might want, as I said, to put that into the broader landscape of public policy. And this is just an area of public policy relating to people's social welfare. So it is therefore a planned problem-solving activity that aims to improve people's welfare, especially the welfare of those who are vulnerable. It is concerned with social relationships between individuals and society, how well-being is distributed or even redistributed among different groups across various life domains. And social policy is also the articulation of objectives and principles, and critically involves debates about values and action to achieve these objectives. So as we shall see later in this recording, you'll find out that political contestations about different values and power of different groups are all key elements of social policy. And that, of course, it involves not only the government, but even the market and other actors like local communities, NGOs, families, and even individuals like yourselves. All these influence what we look at as social policy and social welfare.